If you're anything like me, the hardest person to love sometimes is yourself. Back in 2019, when I broke up with the last woman that I've dated basically since then, COVID kind of, we don't need to get into my dating life here and now yet. That's not the point of this video. Later. But when we broke up, her parting words were that she hoped that I would learn to love myself. And at the time, I did not take that well. I was like, wow, what do you mean? And I came to realize very shortly after that she was not wrong. But the not loving myself ultimately is more a symptom than it is the actual root cause of like why I don't see myself in a good light, why I don't treat myself as well as I could, why I ultimately don't love myself. And while we don't have time today to dive into that, we can talk about all of this down the road because I do think it's important, and I think it's been a very valuable journey that I've gone on to figuring this out. I wanted to share 3 of the actual practical things that I do on a regular basis to build up a sense of self-love because it's been very helpful, and honestly, as simple and straightforward and kind of obvious as some of this stuff may look or feel, to someone like me, first, it's not, and also it's a lot about the mindset. It's a lot about reframing just how I look at what I'm doing and why, and the fundamental shift that has created for me moving forward. Pickleball. So I've got 3 C's for you today, and the first one is going to be conscientious, or it could be calibration of your tripod. All right. When I say conscientious, I mean conscientious for future Jay. When I was in college, I was living off student loans, and I would often say, future Jay can pay for this. Past me was a dick. That's not cool. One of the things that I've really tried to change in my mentality is to value future Jay, like to take care of his thoughts, his wants, his needs in advance of them actually arriving. And the small, simple way you can do that is just by tidying up around the house. There are moments where either I want to put off doing some dishes, like I'll leave some of the prep stuff across the hall in my storage, or my shoes won't end up getting put away quite the way that they should. Future Jay is going to end up stumbling over those shoes. Future Jay is going to be in a rush to make dinner and need to do dishes from past Jay's food to get up to speed just to get started on his current future dish. You're following, I'm sure. And so instead of leaving these things in future Jay's way, like I take the extra 2-3 minutes now to get it done. It's like laundry. Laundry has to get done when it gets done, usually in the morning. And sometimes it takes a long time to dry. But if it's dry in the evening before I go to bed, even if I'm tired and all I want to do is go to bed, it only takes 5, maybe 10 minutes to put laundry away. Just do it now. You're winding down anyways, get the laundry put away, and that way, in the morning, when future Jay gets up, he's gonna come downstairs to a delightfully clean and open space, and it's appreciated. The underlying question here is, how can I be kind to myself? Which brings me to the second C, which is chores. Chores are one of those things you just have to do, no matter what. As a kid, you fight it, you're like, there's no frickin' way I'm doing this, and then as an adult, you're like, well, if I don't do it, I guess I could not do it. So why do we do chores? Chores for me aren't directly related to future Jay because while I really appreciate having a tidy and a clean space, and that does have a long-term impact, the reality is that present Jay gets a lot more out of it. Like me taking some time, especially on a day like today, where you may not know it, but I have some days where I'm really freaking sad, and it actually is very tied in to exactly why I don't love myself the way that I should. And again, we'll get into that another time. On those sad days where I feel miserable, useless, where is the future taking me? Why do we exist? What is even going, it can go anywhere from existential to just feeling like a worm. On those days where I find myself feeling sad, I'm gonna go grocery shopping, I'm going to clean, tidy things up, and just kind of take care of my space for 2 reasons. 1, it's motion, it's action, it's actually getting out there and doing it. 2, it is immediately satisfying. It is a small thing that needs to get done that I know will benefit me immediately and in the future. And as soon as it's done, check it off the list, feels really good. Checklists could have been another C. Just taking a moment to be like, all right, I'm gonna take 20 minutes or an hour. I'm going to scrub the sink. I'm gonna dust. I would vacuum, but my dad broke my vacuum last time he was here, and I still haven't figured out how to fix it. Getting these things out of the way that need to be done alleviate a stress that I'm not fully aware that I'm carrying, because they're always there, they're hovering. It's like, you haven't cleaned me in a while. It alleviates that stress, has the satisfaction of having finished something, gotten it done out of the way, and then I don't have to worry about it for a while. And it's phenomenal. Which brings us to, I guess I was gonna do 3 C's, but I've got 4 C's for you. The next one is consistency. I'm rotating around the room. I'm not even gonna pretend that we're not just changing the angles. How do I look? I can't tell. I can't see the screen. Yesterday when I was talking about like not going to the gym because I needed to switch up my routine, I just needed to get some other stuff done. That was for myself for sure, but the consistency of getting to the gym, getting out for a run, demonstrates to myself that I'm willing to show up for myself. It demonstrates that I am committed and I hold those commitments for myself. And it builds a sense of respect for myself from within myself. All of these little things end up compiling into the last C, what I would call care. I need to take the time to care for myself. The 5th C could be coffee, but when I talk about care, what I mean is like when I was cutting out toxic people from my life, why all the C's are so easy to find now that I'm riffing. I wasn't cared for the way that I needed when I was a kid. It's one of the hardest things for me to come to grips with. It is at the root of why I struggle in so many domains. There's nothing I can do about that. Like, it is the past, and I could sit here and stare at that and bemoan it forever, or I could accept that, do my best to embrace it, we're working on that, and then do what needs doing for me now. And that's really hard. I fought that for a long time. I wanted someone else to come in, someone else to give me what I was never given. But if I'm gonna wait for that to happen, for one, it's probably not going to happen and not in a healthy way. And for two, I'm never gonna get to where I wanna go. I'm not gonna learn, I'm not gonna grow. I'm not gonna become the person that I want to be in any time frame that's acceptable to me. And so I need to get on with it. And I've had to learn to not only be open to, but to accept the care that I show myself. Whether that's letting go of bad relationships, pushing away the things that do me harm, whether that's showing up and just being kind to myself. Not only by cleaning and tidying and making sure my space is safe and enjoyable for myself, but it's also treating myself. It's not shaming myself for eating some Oreos like I showed you. That's why these all tie in together. They're all overlapping, but the reality is if I shift my framework from I should do this or I have to do that to I want to do this for me. I want to do the dishes for my future self. I want to get out and go buy some frozen spinach so that my future shakes are more nutritious. My future self is healthier.
Literally just need spinach.
It's a really weird dynamic to start trusting yourself. And again, I think for some of you this may sound silly, but for me, I didn't realize how little I really trusted myself and how I would consistently put myself into bad situations, or I wouldn't show up the way I needed to show up. I wouldn't do the things I needed to do, and how that had eaten away at the way that I saw myself, at the way that I felt about myself, and the anxieties and stresses around almost everything, because I couldn't trust myself to take care of myself. So who was going to take care of me? The answer was nobody. No one was taking care of me. And so I'm changing that by taking care of myself. I have been for a while now. It's had a wild impact. I'm very, very grateful for it. I started learning piano because I always wanted to, and I even got a teacher. I've been working on that privately, just for me. Maybe someday I'll share that with you, but like for now, it's just for me. And showing up to practice and seeing the satisfaction of the growth in that, seeing the results of going to the gym consistently, feeding myself better. All of these things have really played into having a better, healthier picture of myself and changing the negative narrative in my head into a positive one, into one that sees myself as deserving of love and care. Because if I don't see myself that way, it doesn't matter what anybody else sees or what anybody else thinks. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks to today's Patreon producer, Bob Kamp, and all my patrons for having been a consistent source of external validation for a long time. Appreciate that. I've needed to work on my internal validation. I'm still working on it. I'm still doing my laundry. I'll try to train Cooper to do my laundry for me, but I don't think that's gonna go well.